Sahana Bhavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. So since morning, we saw how an experiential, any experience, and for that matter, experiential happiness has no limit. You can never say, I have reached the maximum. Therefore, there is always one more step, there is always one more level to go to. And that requires a movement. And experiential sukha means you must know what is experiential dukkha. Without dukkha, there is no sukha. Without sukha, there is no dukkha. The two go hand in hand. It's like you don't know heat unless you know cold. You don't know cold unless you know heat. So if you want one of them and not the other, it's an impossibility. So as soon as you say, I want that experience of happiness, you're saying in the same breath, I want to experience sadness too. Unknowingly, that's what we are doing. But what is it that's happiness really? It's not that the object is near you, the object is, within your reach, but you have to become one with it. And that means really, though we talk of Dvaitam, there is only Advaitam, which is Ananda. Only that the total, becoming one alone is the experience of happiness. And then we were looking further that how in the Taittiriya Upanishad we have this Ananda Mimamsa comparison. And there Bhagavan Bhashyakara clearly says the purpose is to understand, is Ananda, is it limited? Is it natural? Not limited, let's put it this way. Is it created or is it uncreated? Is this Ananda created or uncreated? Created means it's an event in time. Uncreated means it is not something you will land upon. It's always there. You recognize it now and then, is not a question. But you never have a process to make it happen. There is no necessity of a process to make it happen. Let's put it that way, even better. And how does he go about proving it? To say that a person who has no desire for some level, no desire for something, that person has as though gained that desire. Yeah? So suppose I have no desire for ₹1,000,000. Then what joy a person would get by getting ₹1,000,000, I have it without doing anything. You understand? It's like our toy shop example. A person who has no desire to play with the toys in a toy shop has as though gained all the joy that a child has to gain by playing with a toy. You are now restricting this to only a toy shop, no other thinking, okay? Then it works. So in this way, every time you gain something by doing, the same is already there if you have mastered that desire. If you don't have that desire, that is what we say, akamahataha. Kamahataha means one who is messed up because of his own want. The conclusion that I need this to be okay, that conclusion does you in. Nothing else. You may legitimize your desire, but the fact remains that with your knowledge, you have concluded that this desire needs to be fulfilled for me to feel the whole. Now, yesterday we looked, what is the legitimacy of any desire, any like? The like is based on previous like. And why do you have a like? Because that's based on a previous like. And you strengthen it, or sometimes you weaken it. Based on new experiences, you are able to now change some things. But what is the legitimacy of a like? What you desire means what you like. What is the legitimacy of a like? It has no reason. Like has no real reason. Because if like was an attribute of an object, it should be like, then everybody would like it. It is highly subjective. You like coffee? I don't like it. You like decaf? I like it with a lot of caffeine in it. So this change, what does it tell you? It is purely in the mind of the fellow. So therefore, in whose hands is that whether you like or don't like? You can call the bluff of likes if we have this understanding. It's not easy because orientation is not overnight. It's a lifelong orientation, and we are born with orientation. I told you, even an infant knows when you give him something, he can say, I don't like it. So it's not new. So this orientation, this knowledge is very well assimilated. That what I like is good for me, what I don't like, I should get rid of. This is very well assimilated. So how much ever we study, what will hold more true in your mind? Logically, we can establish a lot of things. But what is that your mind will gravitate towards generally? A bird in hand is worth two in the bush. So it's like that. You seem to have Shraddha that this ice cream does make me happy. How much ever you argue, there is no happiness in ice cream, that doesn't ring true. It doesn't ring true. And even when established, because okay, you really like ice cream, all right, we'll give you ice cream. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 cups you had. 6th cup. At one point you will say what? Enough. You will say enough. You can't but say enough. And if you eat one more, the 6 which went in also will come out. Then what do you understand? So is the 7th one bad? You look at economics. What will it say? There's a law of diminishing returns. If an object has sukha, how can it have diminishing returns? As much as the object, that much more the better should be, more the merrier. So I'm saying, looking at from different perspectives, you can see that the object doesn't have what it takes to make one pleased. If the subject has it, then the subject should be able to be pleased without the object. Why should both come together? Then where is this happiness? So if you look at Shastra, you can say, well, both come together, merger happens, then happiness happens in a way, is manifested, as we would put it. But even for that, Shastra will say, karma is the key. Unless your karmas allow for that happiness to happen, you cannot have happiness. This is Shastra. Because Shastra alone can tell you what you don't know about here. And it says, unless you have that probability of a Shanta Vritti, you cannot enjoy happiness. Therefore, what is the way to gain happiness within this world? You collect more punya. You have to collect more punya. It's not anything else, because you may earn all the money, but you may not have the ability to enjoy any of it. It's not uncommon. People have huge businesses, tons of money, but they have one child, it's autistic. The money serves no great joy to them. They're always worried about the autistic child, right? So it's not uncommon. You have everything, but you can't enjoy it. So to enjoy, to be happy with what you have is not something you can buy. It has to be earned with punya. This is the perspective of the Shastra. But what about this Swarupananda? That happens to be what you are. So Shastra also says, I was saying to you, that fact that whatever you don't want, you already as though have it, that kind of happiness you get. That means if you question why I want, you will be able to solve it to some extent. But when you ask the question, why do I want or do I want it, what is the I there? That's a key point. If the I is this individual, then the wants are legitimate. And if the I is something which can never be what is known to you, because I knows everything, but I can never be known, then everything you know by which you say I am limited has all gone out. And when everything has gone out, what remains is already not having any. Every desire belongs to the mind. And the mind is an object of your perception. Therefore, where are the desires now? Does it belong to you or does it belong to the mind? It belongs to the mind, but you say, I am as good as my mind. And therefore, I desire. And therefore, I have to fulfill it. This is how the whole cycle goes on. This is what we call avidya, kama, karma. So the Upanishad says very clearly, alpe sukham nasti. Alpe means in a limited thing, sukham nasti. There is no happiness. No, there is some happiness. You know, if you give me, even if I don't like it all the way, I love to have Lindt chocolates. Here you get only Amul chocolates. Amul chocolate also give me some happiness. It's not as good as Lindt. Is that how you feel or no? I mean, we have to examine, You would like to get the designer brands of something, but you only get a local clothes. Is it okay or not? Gives you some happiness or not? What does Shastra say? Alpe sukham nasti. In what sense? Because anything which is limited is adhika trishna hetu. It is going to fire up in you a desire for more. Because once you say, this is good, now you know the possibility. You want to go to the next step. You can't avoid it. Therefore, once you say something is good, money is sukha hetu, relationship is sukha hetu, good food is sukha hetu. The minute you label something as a cause for sukham, then the gradations in sukham are real to you. Therefore, until it is bhuma, until it is the limitless, it cannot give you sukha. So, bhuma eva sukham, alpe sukham nasti. There is no sukha in limited. Therefore, what do you want now? I want the limitless. What is bhuma? Yatra nanyat pashyati. Where you don't see a second thing. Nanyat shrunoti. You don't hear a second thing. Nanyat vijanati. You don't know a second thing. Sabhuma. And if you see something other than you, yatra anyat pashyati, anyat shrunoti, anyat vijanati, tadalpam. So if you see, I am the subject and that's an object, you see something more, you see another. If you see another, means what? There is something other than you. You are not you are not that, and that is not you. That is limitation. So what difference does it make? Let it be. You see a tree. Do you feel limited in any way if you see a tree? You see this flower. Does it limit you? So why dvaite sukham nasti? Why should this be so? If you see another thing, why should you feel small? Because if you see another thing other than you, you have to first draw a boundary around yourself. And what is that boundary going to be? What is that boundary going to be? It will be here. It cannot be elsewhere. And once you draw that boundary, you are bound to feel insecure, limited, wanting. There's no choice. And therefore, I want to know what you cannot now reach the limitless by a process, a finite process. Any number of numbers, finite numbers added, can never give you the infinite. Either there is infinity or there is no infinity. Infinity cannot be gained by taking finite numbers and doing any number of operations on it. But once you have infinity, whether you add to it, subtract from it, divide, multiply, do any operations, infinite remains infinite. So infinite has to be there already. You cannot create the infinite. The limitless must be there. You can't create the limitless. Therefore, what is the limitless? If it is there, that's what Shastra says, limitless Brahman is. It is there. How do you know it? It can't be known. Because limitless means if you objectify it, being apart from it, it is not limitless. You limit it. If I know something other than me, means there are two now. That limits me as an object, and I limit that. And until I know, it was unknown, which means in time also it's limited. Therefore, there is no way the limitless can be something which is known by you through a process of knowing. Then how will Brahman be known? It is only by recognizing that whatever I think is the reality you keep knocking out, then what remains happens to be the limitless. You're not trying to know the limitless as an object. You're only removing what you thought as limitations, like you thought that this is limited. You remove the pot form and you recognize relatively clay is unlimited. You did not create clay, you just removed the potness from clay. You removed the bangleness from gold. Similarly, you remove all formness from what is. Everything is. What is not a matter for our interest. And what is, you say, book is, world is, table is, fan is, money is, happiness is, unhappiness is. From all of them, you remove what? That form. Cognitively, you remove. What remains is ease. That ease is not something that you objectified, because that when did you find ease? Ease is always there. I said the other day, law of conservation of mass, law of conservation of energy. Mass and energy are what? They are there or they are not there. If mass and energy are conserved, what about the easiness of that? It's there. Then Swamiji, out there in the world it is there. Who knows it unless there's a conscious being? No, there are so many conscious beings. If you don't know, another one will know. How you can talk of another one unless you prove yourself? See, to say there are other people who will know, I first want you to prove who you are. If you can't prove yourself, you can't prove a second person. And what can you prove yourself as? As really you, which is not subject to change. You have to let go of the body, you have to let go of the mind. There is no object anymore. This you does not see another. So you cannot prove a second unless you establish yourself. And in trying to establish yourself, you will find that you have no form. The form is incidental. It is not real. It is not something that can go away. So the inquiry proceeds in various ways. But to come to what point? That you cannot prove a second one. Because to prove a second one, prove the first one. I am, I know. But what are you? To say there is a second one, which means I am one, you are two, you are three, you are four, all of us must be equally real. But what's the reality? This body, this body which I am counting are all nothing but earth and water. Therefore, there is only one annam, one food. Take it out. Then what are you remaining now? How will you count a second one? What you count outside, you have to count this also out. So the argument that when I am sleeping, others are awake, that others you establish first. And to establish, you first establish yourself. Then we will talk further. That's the way the Upanishad takes it. Can you establish yourself? The knower cannot establish himself because the knower is knocked out. And the knower alone knows everything else. So how are you going to establish a second one without a knower? If there's a knower who can count 1, 2, 3, you can. But that knower is knocked out because the knower is always there. In sleep also you should be able to count 1, 2, 3. You can't. If you can't count in sleep and you are there in sleep, then you are not the counter. You are not the knower. Then what remains? You remain. And that Upanishad presents as it is Sat. Means it is the very meaning of the word existence. It is Chit. It is the meaning of the word awareness, not meaning of the word sentient. Sentience you infer. Even sentience you cannot see. See, when I say all of you are sentient because you respond to me, we could have robots which are responding today. They can look exactly like you. So how do you prove there is another source of sentience? Robots are all defined by one, are all made. They don't have their own sentience. So can you prove sentience by perception and inference? You really cannot. You only infer, saying this body responds because of sentience, that must also be responding because it is sentient. But you have no way to prove it. So the only way to prove that sentience or consciousness is what? Where is the only place you can prove awareness? Prove. 100%. Not speculate. Jnanam means you walk in. There is no jnanam without you. You can't even talk Ishvara. You can't talk anything. The only person who is awareful is you. That is why I said you are the center of the universe. There is no universe without you. That you by what is it limited? That is called Bhuma, not something else. Alpe sukham nasti. And how do you know what is Bhuma? Yatra nanyat pashyati. You don't see a second thing. Don't see means don't cognize. You cannot cognize. Because whatever is cognized is jadam. What is your nature? You are akhanda chaitanya rupaha. Akhanda means what? Undivided. See, when we say we are conscious or or sentient entities because we can know and respond, you know one thing at a time. You cannot know two things at a time. Is that right or not? It's like a snapshot in a camera. One snapshot can include any range, but you know only one snapshot at a time. Correct? But what is your experience? Snapshot after snapshot after snapshot after snapshot. You don't miss a snapshot. Including waking is one snapshot, sleep is one snapshot, dream is one snapshot. That continuous thing can never be an object. Because there's a constant dynamic knowing which is independent of everything else. That is called Chaitanya. And that is not going to be anything that is taken as a one-point snapshot. That's in time. I'm just giving you multiple reasons to see why you cannot know yourself and why there is only one non-dual. So if that is recognized, then what happens to everything else? Once you're able to convince yourself, existence is me. There is only one existence. Because I cannot even count a second one. I can't count the first one outside as an object. Then there's only one existence. If you can see this, then the problem becomes easy. Because just like the pot's existence is clay, and all the clay items have one thing called clay as existence. Same way, if existence is me, it's not an attribute, then all that you say is happens to be me. Therefore, everything which you say is not I, you embrace back again. You embrace in a different way. You embrace it as just appearances, names and forms which cannot and do not affect you. Therefore, your mind is also a name and a form. Your buddhi is a name and form. Everything is a name and form. And if names and forms cannot and do not affect you, then you are like that person who is in the toy shop happily moving around the toys. Or you're celebrating your child's birthday party and enjoying the balloons without needing them. You know, one balloon breaks, the child cries. Right? It has 5 balloons. One balloon breaks, it cries. All the 4 break, it still cries. Now what did it say? The father says, hey, balloons are meant to break. They are breakable. That's how they are. Don't cry. Child won't understand. Says no. Why did his balloon not break? That is how we are. Buddhi is only that much. Comparison, because I see another one as good as me. I see many. I am one among many. I am one among billions. So what will I be? Insecure, wanting. But if you are a balloon jnani, what will happen? Any number of balloons break, you say it's understandable. I accept it. I don't. What can you do? Buy one more balloon. Right? And you know, even as you blow the balloon, you know it will break. No trouble. Even as you know I'm starting something, you know you may not get what you want. That's knowing the balloon. Anything you want to accomplish, you know it may not happen. And even if it happens, it looks like a big balloon, but anytime one pin prick and it can go. Are we willing to take life balloons vanishing, breaking on our face? So Swami would say, balloon is okay. Child is told, balloon, it's a balloon, it will break. But when the stock balloon bursts, $1.3 trillion down in a week or whatever time, then what happens to the father who says balloon is balloon? Now his balloon is broken. He is crying now. So we have to understand, for him this is balloon. What is stock? That which is subject to inflation. Is it not? If it is not subject to inflation, you won't buy it. But whatever is subject to inflation is also subject to deflation. Wherever you want sukha, you should recognize there is dukkha. You cannot understand inflation unless there is deflation. All pairs of opposites are like this. They are one continuum. You draw some line. So the Shastra says, ahameva sukham. I alone am joy, am limitlessness. And sukha means, you take it as sukha, happiness, comfort. Ahameva sukham na anyat. Not anything else. There is no sukha in something else. There is no sukha in me. I am sukha. I am the happiness. Nanyat ahameva sukham nanyat anyat chet naiva tat sukham. If it is something else, it is not sukham. Amadartham nahi preyaha madartham nasvatah sukhaha. I will explain this. Position is the what is to be proved is ahameva sukham. I alone am happiness, wherever it is. Your happiness is also me. Understand, it's not my happiness, your happiness. Happiness means limitlessness. I alone am happiness. Not that I have happiness. Drop that have, it's not a possessive noun. I am happiness. Anyachet, if it's something else, that is not Sukha. Why? Amadartham nahi preya. If something you don't connect with, if it's something totally unrelated to you, can it be an object of joy? Totally unrelated to you. Madartham means for me. Mama artham. And that means grammatically shesha. Sambandha. It is something else. So if Sukha is not connected to me at all, if whatever you call is Sukha, then it cannot be Sukha. This is experiential. What is unknown to you cannot be your happiness. Amadartham, if it is not connected to you, it is not but. And if it is for you, it is connected to you, then the question is, this rose, let's say, you think is the source of Sukham. It's connected to you. Now see what's happening to this rose. It's morning rose, okay? See, as I hold it, what is happening? The petals are coming to my hands. How long will it be Sukham? How long will it be Sukham? These petals are falling one by one. This rose will be Sukham until it pleases me. Is that true or not? Anything you say is a source of comfort, source of joy, until it pleases you. So what do you really love? The rose or the pleased you? What do you really love? Do you love any object? Any object you love is secondary love. It's derived. It's a derivative. Primary love is for what? Not for an object. Not for the experience that the object brings you. What is your primary love for? I want to be pleased. Correct? So the pleased you is what you love. Do you love anything else? Do you love anything else? If pleased you is what you love, what is the connection between this and the pleased you? Establish it. Except avidya. I told you, no basis for your like. I like this rose. Why do you like it? I don't know. I remember Swamiji, I don't know. So Swamiji used to give prasadam, to all the people, fruit. A kid comes. And Swamiji has got several fruits in that. He gives a banana. Swamiji, yes. Can I have an apple? Why? I hate banana. Why? I don't know. See that shrug has to come. No, I don't know. And I don't care. But I hate banana. Hey, what did banana do to you? I don't know. If you ask, why do you hate something? What do we have to say as adults? We may not be showing our ignorance by saying, I don't know. But really, do you know why you hate something? Why do you like it? Why do you like apple? If you ask the kid, what would he say? I don't know. What else can he say? I just like it. And that's the truth. You discover you like something. You have value. And then one day later, you may not like it. He said, give me an apple. He ate it. He found it very bad. Next time onwards, I hate apples. Can happen. It doesn't take long. So how long does it take for you to change your likes and dislikes? Any moment. But what do you never drop? What do you never give up your love for? Yourself. The pleased self, you never give up. Is there a pleased self and a displeased self now? Are there two selves? You should know better. Are you always pleased? No. So is there a displeased self or not? Yes or no? Huh? Apparently yes. Good answer. Very, very safe answer. Apparently yes. Okay? Because what is evident to you? A displeased self is evident to you or not? If it's evident to you, what is evident to you is not you. Whatever is evident to you is not you. Swamiji, what about pleased self? Next question will come, What about pleased self? When pleased self happens, subject, object are not there. Who is going to look? Displeasure you will see. Pleasure, if you see separately, means there is already a split. Subject-object split is there. Right? You don't objectify the pleasure. Even if you objectify, let's go one step further. What do you objectify? A pleasing thought, which has degrees. Yeah, this coffee is very good, but yesterday's coffee was better. Therefore, what did you objectify? A vritti, a thought. And that thought moves. Therefore, are you aware of the pleased self or a thought which was pleasing? The self is neither pleased nor displeased in that sense. But then, if you recognize, any time you are pleased, like I told you in sleep as well, when there is nothing else, and when subject-object are resolved, there is really nothing else, or any time where you don't have a demand, any time you don't have a demand, at that time, what remains is just the self. There is no demand. Everything is there, but it does not affect you. Therefore, that is when you say, I am happy. When you have nothing else you want different. And that is not created. And if you recognize the fact that that happens to be my truth, my nature, then even when there are thoughts which are not happy thoughts, you can say they have no existence apart from the existence I lend them. And therefore, they can be there. It's like you're playing a drama and you play the role of a villain with no trouble. Because you know very well, there's a good cop, there's a bad cop. You're the bad cop. So what? You play the role of a bad cop very well because you know it's not you anyway. So that space to see that everything is a role and no role has a being other than me gives you that inner space. Another way of looking at this, I'm just beating out this happiness business, okay? So, what do you like? If you look at the world of objects, you have three possibilities, okay? Desirable or liked, undesired, disliked, and things to which you are neutral. Is there a third category? No. Okay. Is disliked object going to be dear to you? Definitely not. Are neutral objects dear to you? Why do we call them neutral? Because you're neutral. Now, are liked objects dear to you? Yes. Your spouse, your children, are they liked objects? Good. I'm happy for that answer. I'm very happy with that answer. Now, my question is that, are they dear to you? Sometimes. Very correct. Sometimes. I like that answer. Whoever gave it. Very true. Why? What does it mean? Liked objects do not have like in them. If liked objects don't have like in them inherently, where is your liked object, sir? But you see like things, you see the pleased self, then where can it be? Ahameva priyam. Nanyat. You are the only one which is, but not this I, the man who is so many years old and who has this kind of qualification and this kind of wealth. Not that I. The eye we are talking about is how far this finger can go if it goes all the way. All the way means understand, okay? Not stopping at any barrier. So this Priyam, Apriyam, and any time you say you don't like, when you say I'm unhappy. So Swamiji, I'm unhappy, I'm not always happy. To say you're unhappy, you must know what happiness is. Okay? And to know right now you're unhappy and you want to push that away. Why do you want to push that away? Suppose there is some person who makes you very uncomfortable. It's an unpleasant relationship. What would you like to become happy? Move away or move him away? When you move away, what remains? You become happy. What remains? You remain. Therefore, even a displeasure reveals what? That your truth, your actual nature is the pleased self, because that's where you want to come back to. You never move away from your own truth. Like an elastic, rubber band. A rubber band, if you pull, the minute you release it, it will come back to its original shape. Everything likes to go back to its original form. Things disintegrate to what they were. Therefore, that's another reason to see that every displeasure reveals the pleased you. Reveals it. Therefore, you tell me now, by what argument are you going to argue that happiness is other than you? If happiness is not other than you, then why are you looking out? Because I don't know I am what I am seeking. I don't know that I am seeking myself. If you knew it, you would stop seeking. And you don't know that this much alone is not me. That's why you're seeking. Therefore, it is all centered on avidya. The knowledge of who I am is covered. What supports avidya? That avidya is also held only by the same I. Why is it so? Why is Ishvara like this? Don't ask why. Because if Ishvara was standing there somewhere in heaven and put you here and was enjoying your discomfort, that would be a fair question. But this is Ishvara. So there is a twist someone gives to it. Can be given. Suppose, you knew you're all Brahman. Suppose you knew. What would life be like? Everybody knows I am Brahman. Everything is Brahman. It becomes so dull. Therefore, you know what Ishvara said? How do I make everybody see? This is all hypothetical, okay? This is a story, somebody's imagination. How do I make everybody see what my glory is? So he manifested in this form. And you're struggling. And finally, what do you recognize? Oh, all this is Ishvara's glory. All this is my glory. What a joy it is. So to make his glory known, he set up the world like this. This is what somebody has to say. Because otherwise you won't recognize his glory. Everything is one means what? If you have only fabric, how will you know the varieties of clothes people wear? The variety is the fun. You should see it. This is all, as I said, it's not reality. I'm just saying this is how some poet looks at it. No? And even the Upanishad will say, where does this glory rest? This glorious world, where does it rest? Because in general, people's glory rests where? In their qualifications, in their wealth, in their connections, in their age, wherever it might rest. Where does the glory of this rest? Sve mahimni tishtati. The glory is in itself. Itself has its glory, nothing else. It doesn't depend on anything else for its glory. Because glory is how? Because everything, you see a huge variety of things. You see a huge space with so many, galaxies, comets, all these things are there. And all of that, my God, is me. It's amazing. To conceive of it seems next to impossible, So that glory is Swe Mahimni. And if you want to look at it differently, Na Mahimni. There is no glory. All there is one reality. There is no glory. Either way you look at it. So therefore, what are you seeking? Atmanastu kamaya sarvam priyam bhavati. Everything is dear to you for the sake of yourself. Please self. Therefore, what is the only thing one should do in life or needs to do in life? Atmavare drashtavyaha. The only thing you need to know clearly is yourself. And for that, what should you do? Shrotavyaha. You have to listen to the Shastra. Why? Pramanam, the means of knowledge for this limitless Atma, cannot be perception inference. It is only Shabda Pramanam. Therefore, Shrotavyaha. Listen. Not read. Listen. Reading doesn't do the same job. There's a difference. In reading, the ego is very much involved. I am knowing. In listening takes place. You don't do anything to listen. In reading, you have to read. Reading doesn't take place automatically. There's a difference. Shrotavyaha. But I understand what Shastra says. You are everything. But I have logical questions. Like you all have. Then what? Mantavyaha. Find out what is the logical flaw in your thinking, fallacy. After that also, Swami, no logical doubt. Everything seems clear, but I still don't feel I am okay. This is a problem that everyone will face because the orientations are extremely well laid out and it will take a lot of reorientation. How much time one needs to reorient, we can't tell. And how much time we spend reorienting also is partly in our hands. Because we sometimes feel, now I know, right? I understand. It'll all go. It doesn't go away. Orientation doesn't go away. You still have to work on it. Deliberately work on it. So, that is the whole journey. Then what about this free will business if everything is only one reality? Is there a free will or no? Swamiji, but this body is given, you say, and that is past karma. Right? And that came from what? How did the karma to create this body get created? There was another body before that. How did that body come? There was karma before that. This is what? The chicken and egg problem. Or bijankuranyaya. You have a seed comes first or tree comes first? What comes first? Tree? Which one will you answer? Tree or seed? Which one comes first? Either way you answer, you're in trouble. If you say tree, I will say, where did the tree come from? If you say seed, I'll say, where did seed come from? So what is the observation? Seed comes from tree comes from seed. A depends on B depends on A. It's a logical impossibility. So what is the conclusion of Shastra? A and B are both appearances. Neither of them is real. Neither of them is real. So prarabdha, the past karma, and free will, neither of them is real, absolutely real. Vidhev prayatnasya cha kopi vadaha. Ramana. Vidhehe prayatnasya cha kopi vadaha tayor dvayor moolam ajanatam syat. What does it mean? Any argument about free will is there or not there? Is it only Daivam, past free will, Prarabdha, which is there? This argument can only happen between those who have not inquired into the reality of either free will or fate. If you inquire into them, what will happen? What will remain? Na vidhi na yatnaha. There is neither free will nor fate. In the ultimate reality, understanding, there is neither free will nor fate. In Vyavahara, there is free will, there is fate. So, how much free is your free will? Next question, No retreat is complete unless you deal with this question. How much free will do you have? Where does your free will begin and where does your limitation end? Where does the prarabdha begin? Where does free will begin? What's the answer? I ask you. Now, you all go to the dining hall. What free will do you have? You want to eat. You want to eat. You can eat chapati sabji and go away. You can eat chapati sabji, rice, dal, everything. You can eat this much, you can eat this much. That's your free will. Swamiji, I want to have puri today. That's given. That you don't have a choice. Right? You come to the class, assuming you have decided to come to the class. Right? Then what is free will? You can listen or you can look at your phone. Sleep is not in your choice. Sleep comes, okay? Sleep is never by choice. That is Ishvara's will. Never blame yourself for the sleep. It is Ishvara. Did you go to sleep? If you can go to sleep, then go to sleep now. I can't. Then what does it mean? Sleep comes. You don't go to sleep. So Swamiji, I don't accept that. You can look at the phone. You can close your eyes. For some time you think you will close your eyes and you will focus. After some time sleep comes. Right? Or you can sit here and think of something else. Prarabdha was that you had to sit in this class. Free will is what you make of it. You understand? So, both are here. Swamiji, where is Ishvara in all this? Ishvara is the one who governs both Prarabdha and free will. There is no free will outside Ishvara. Don't think there is one free will and there is one Ishvara separate. Free will is also within the order that is Ishvara. There is nothing outside Ishvara. So, you can't blame fate. This is what? Fate is also given. Your current situation is given. What can you do? Should I just accept it? When should I act and when should I accept it? If you think you can, if you're unhappy with what is, and you want to change it, and you think changing will benefit you, go ahead, try to change it. If it changes, well and good. If it doesn't change, try again. Don't judge. Try again. If it doesn't change, try again. Till when? Till you're tired. Till you're tired. When I'm tired, what should I do? Then come to us. We will tell you the reason you're tired is because you're trying to solve a problem which cannot be solved. You can never solve the problem by working on it. You may get lucky. So, is a difficult life. Swami, some very hard situations in life. Inhumane treatments happen. What should I do? The inhumane treatment may bring you here. Or it may take you to crime. It depends on your samskaras. One person will say, I was treated inhumanely. A girl was subject to, assault. What did she do? She decided she will take care of all of them. She became Phulan Devi. You heard of that name? What did she do? She went and massacred a whole village. She took revenge. Somebody else may have said, life is not worth, may have committed suicide. And somebody else may have said, is there a way to get out of this problem? All possibilities exist. How you respond to a situation is your samskaras, the grace you enjoy, your free will. your knowledge, your values, everything comes to play at every moment. No choice that you make is independent of your past. The past weighs you down to a certain extent because you can't change it. Bhagavan says you are free to do whatever you can, but accountable you are for it. So, whatever you do, you will get an appropriate outcome. Situations will evolve. You again have the free will to do. As a human being, you'll have free will. And if you abuse your free will too much, then next time Bhagavan says, I think you don't deserve so much free will. You want to hurt people? I'll make you a tiger. Enjoy killing animals without getting papa. Whatever it may be. So the point is, you get a life of an animal or a plant where you don't earn fresh karma, but you burn out the reserves of karma which are there. And then when you have sufficiently, reduced the balance, see again the balance is infinite, but there is some logic in Ishvara's computer which decides what set of karmas should be picked up for the next life. And there Krishna promises that if one genuinely understands what we are talking about, not jnanam, but you understand at least that what I'm really seeking is the freedom from a sense of lack, and that cannot come from karma. Therefore, I don't want to do karma for the sake. I only want to free myself from this karma. If you understood that and started to do things not for situational changes, but purely to grow out of the dependence on situations, then Bhagavan says that after that, though you have infinite karma, the karmas that will fructify there onwards will keep you on track. It will keep you going forward in this direction. You will always find a life which is more conducive towards this. And Swami would say, if people come here for a retreat or at least for a longer term course, he said, definitely you are a yoga bhrashta. Otherwise, you won't end up here for a 3-year course because you have tried and that samskara has brought you here. So I'm saying samskaras are all there. What do we have right now? We have what little free will we have. Whatever we have some free will, we have some knowledge, we have some understanding, and we have to use this free will to grow the free will. That's the real growth. You have to expand the free will to the point where you don't need the free will. Because you understand, free will is also mithya. What is Ishvara, and I am not in any way away from it. Okay? So we'll stop there. Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om.